Hey guys, welcome back to my garage. We're gonna add a Trailtech Vapor instrument cluster to my YZ426F. I'm adding this because the bike has no time counter, there is no hour counter, so I have no idea when the maintenance is due. And at the same time, with the Trailtech Vapor, you can actually see the RPM on the bike. You can see the engine temperature and the speed. So enough of the chit chat, let's get on it. Because I already have the Scott steering damper in the center of my handlebar, I had to find a different solution to install the Trailtech dashboard, which is over here, as you guys can see. So I made this bracket made out of a strip of aluminum, which I attached to the triple clamp and route it up. This fabrication works for my specific bike, but it might not work for whatever you have. I just elected to leave it on and go from there. The important part of the installation is how you connect all the sensor to the main unit. There are 4 sensors we need to install on the bike. One is the speed sensor, one is the RPM sensor, the other one is for the engine temperature, and last one is if you want to wire in the dash to the electrical system of the bike, you install that, or you can skip that and just run the battery off the dash. But I don't know how much the battery is gonna last, so I'm gonna try to wire it in. I heard it's not simple. You're gonna give it a try anyway, but I want to start with the speed sensor over here, and to do it they give you this magnet bolt. What you need to do is remove one of the brake rotor bolts and replace it with the provided one. Now when you do that, this bolt is covered by a little magnet, and the magnet is just there to protect the bolt. Don't leave it on to use. Let's start removing one of those bolts. Remember to add some red thread lock. And in. That is a 10 millimeter. Next we are supposed to install the pickup for the sensor, which in theory goes behind, attached to the caliper bracket. Mark the length where the magnet passes by. Removing the caliper is fairly easy. Those are 12 millimeter bolts, and you just undo them. Because I want some more slack to work on, I'm actually going to remove these two as well. Those are 10 millimeters. Now I can actually move these out of the way and work on it. I know the sensor needs to be in between those 2 points, so I'm gonna just put it in and look how much I'm gonna have to trim. Okay, I trimmed off this little bit over here, and now if we grab the caliper and we put it on, you'll see that it fits flush against the caliper bracket. I'm gonna mark it. Once I have it marked, the next thing to do is to drill a hole on it. Once you have the hole drilled, it's time to get the self-tapping screw. You might wanna put it in first, let her dig her own channels in there, and then pull it back out. At this point it should be fairly easy to put the sensor over there and screw it in. Once the sensor is being screwed in and is nice and flush with the caliper, we can put the caliper back onto the bike. Test the brakes, and then after testing the brakes, make sure that the sensor goes right by the magnet. And at this point it's just a matter of routing the wire all the way up. Obviously this is going to be different for every different bike, because every bike is gonna have its own way of wiring things around. So I'm gonna go do this, and then let's see if I can put it behind this cover. Now that I've trimmed just a little bit up front, I can actually put it on, and it fits just right. And now it's time to zip tie this in there, and I'm gonna make it go under this over here. Now remember, every time the fork gets compressed, this whole thing will move up. As always, if you have a better solution, leave a comment down below and let everybody know, including me. Maybe I'll change it up and do what you did. For the other three sensors, I need to get access under the fuel tank, because I need to do some cutting and splicing, and also I need to drain the coolant. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove all of this so that I have enough space to work. We're gonna use the left side hose, because this is the water that comes straight from the engine. If we were to use the one on the right hand side, would be the water already cooled by the radiators, so we would have a faulty reading. So put the sensor where you think is the best placement, and then mark the hose. Once you mark the hose, it's time to cut. This is best if done with hose cutters, but I don't have it, so it's going to be scissors or a box cutter. Time to put the sensor. Now the sensor doesn't have any arrow on it, so I believe it doesn't matter which way the water flows. I'm gonna put it in. Just like that. I want the wire to point in this direction, so let's leave this over here like this for now, because we're gonna go on the other side and wire a whole bunch more. Let's now install the RPM wire. In theory, you could install it by wrapping this red portion of the wire itself around the coil, but it's there, it's just a wraparound. This just doesn't look well done. So there is another option. You can actually attach the red wire directly to the other connector that comes out from the coil in there. This one over here, it's a way cleaner installation than just wrapping it around the spark plug. There it is over here. Gonna clean it up and solder it in. I really hope this works, because it's a way cleaner installation. But let's move on and let's hardwire the Trailtech dash into the bike electrical power. So in theory, the green and the black wires are the wires with electricity once the bike is running. So what we're gonna do is plug the red with the green and the black with the black, which is kind of weird because usually the red is the hot one, but according to the wiring diagram, the green is the one we want right now. Let's see if instead of cutting and splicing, I can actually stuff it in there. Green and black. I want everything to be on the left hand side, so let's route this through. I need a magnifying glass or something. Okay, and now let's do the same to the other one here. I'm gonna plug it back in. So now we have all three wires from all three sensors over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bunch them together and move them forward behind the number plate. I'm going to use a few zip ties. First of all, right here where they all come out, I'm gonna zip tie them together. And at this point I have some of this thing, whatever this is called. So I'm gonna use it to protect the wires and carry them forward behind the number plate. So I'm gonna start wrapping them like this. This is hardly necessary, but why not? I have it. As you guys can see, this thing, it's all nice and tucked, and it's gonna look all nice and neat, and the wires are not gonna move around. Now that I've done some tidying up with shrink wrap and electrical tape, it's time to do the easiest part of the job. So plug this into the main head unit over here, and in theory it should be really easy because none of those connectors are the same. So, and that's it. Now I'm gonna tuck everything in, put a few zip ties and make sure it doesn't interfere with anything. Put the number plate back on, and we're gonna check if the head unit works. We are done, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Having all these informations in such a small package, it's great. Now I have the time, the speed seems to be working, the RPM seems to be working. So you don't have to wrap it around the spark plug. You can go directly to the coil, and it seems to be working pretty good. The coolant temperature seems to be working as well, and the power, as I was kicking, the light would come on. So the power is working. I'm really happy because it was quite a bit of work. Now I have a reference for when I need to do services and valve adjustments and all those other things. And obviously I'm gonna take the bike for a spin, and I'm gonna test it out once I set everything up to see how it works once I'm in the field. For everything I used in this video, check the description down below, as well as support the channel. There is gonna be a link to support the channel in the description, and if you go to my YouTube homepage. If you like the video, like. If you love the video, subscribe. Next coming, I'm gonna give a general spruce up, probably change the stickers and clear out the plastics and take care of the seat or something like that. So stay tuned, dirt on, and I'll see you next time.